Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell, and I'm joined by Noah Fleischman, as I am every week. And we're here to break down Louisville. NC State plays the Cardinals at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night this week. Another primetime Friday night showdown, but this one's at Carter Finley Stadium. It's a blackout game. They've got some cool new uniforms we might talk a little bit about today, and we're just going to break down everything to do with Friday, the Cardinals, NC State going into this matchup. And Noah and I are going to share just kind of what we've been hearing around practice, around the team this week, and just really dive into this thing before kickoff on Friday night. Before we do so, just a couple of housekeeping notes. We're both reporters for the wolfpacker.com. If you're finding us on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that is a site, a part of the On3 network. We cover all NC State sports, especially football and men's and women's basketball. And I'm recruiting for all of those sports as well. It's $1 to join for premium access, and we have a bunch of free content on there as well. So go check it out. It's the wolfpacker.com. Got a bunch of cool stuff on there. We just published a Louisville scouting report. Noah just wrote an awesome feature on NC State pass rusher Red Hibbler. And and I'm going to go ahead and tease it for tomorrow. I think we have a pretty significant recruiting scoop coming up on the board tomorrow. So be ready for that. Stay tuned on the wolfpacker.com. It is only $1 to join an awesome website for premium access. All right, let's dive into this, Noah. It's a big one. NC State's 3-1. A few, so-so wins in there. But anytime you're 3-1, you got to feel at least somewhat confident. And this game feels like one that's going to tell us a lot about NC State this year. Louisville's a good team. They come into this one undefeated, a pretty electric offense, pretty solid defense, both number 4 in the ACC in their respective scoring categories. This is going to be a great test for NC State's defense, and it's an ongoing test for NC State's offense, continuing from last week's effort against UVA. Before we get into some of the specifics, Noah, just your overall thoughts and feelings going into Louisville week.
Yeah, I think it's a big game, as you said. I mean, anytime there's a 7 o'clock game at home under the lights, and things like that. There's other things we'll talk about that happen to be around this whole game environment. But I think that it's good. It's a game that NC State wants to win. You want to win every game you play, but especially when you're under the lights at home, on national television. This is an opportunity for them to kind of make a statement. Louisville comes into the game 4-0, and this kind of could set the tone, in ACC play of, all right, NC State's a team that can win games in this conference. Obviously, last week they did that a little bit against Virginia. Struggled putting them away though, and they ended up having a walk-off field goal to do it. So I think that's kind of the high-level thoughts is they win this game. It's a statement win. Louisville is only one of 29 teams that are still 4-0 in the FBS, which is surprisingly low number. There's 133 of them, so it's not a lot that are actually 4-0 left. So we'll see how things shake out from here. But it's a big time game, big time environment. I know the NC State fans will definitely show up for that sold out game.
Yeah, and it's an interesting matchup because Louisville has their first year head coach Jeff Brom, who had a lot of success at Purdue, took them to a Big Ten championship game, but decided to leave and head to the ACC, and really retooled that team while also holding on to some really good players at Louisville. NC State played at Louisville last year with the previous regime, and they lost. But this is going to be a new look Cardinals team. The Cardinals defense was really their hallmark last year, and it's still a solid unit. But now, man, that offense in Louisville it's been something special so far this year, and that is led by quarterback Jack Plummer, who he's just an elite deep ball passer so far this season. He's completed 12 of 14 passes that have been 20 yards or more down the field. That's a pretty ridiculous mark. And also 5 of those passes have gone for touchdowns. 4 also went for interceptions. But, still, even when you're turning the ball over almost as much as you're scoring on those throws, that's still good offense. And it's good enough to get him a 94.4 grade on Pro Football Focus. And shoot, that's pretty elite That's among the elite passers in the country, and certainly in the ACC. So he's someone that, I don't know if NC State has played a quarterback yet that can stretch the field um, quite like Plummer's going to be able to. Sam Hartman could do that as well, but Notre Dame's offense didn't ask him to do as much of that. So this is going to be a team that they're going to hurt you in a lot of different ways. Just going back and watching their previous game against Boston College, which was a blowout win where they scored 42 points in the first half. And no, I'm not misspeaking there. That's 42 in the first half. They're interesting. They use a lot of motion before the snap, a lot of jet sweeps, and it can turn into a jet sweep handoff to a receiver, or they'll throw in a lot of fakes in there and then turn it into fun passing plays. And they're an interesting team that when they use a lot of that motion, it emphasizes NC State's need to communicate well, right? Louisville's going to be trying to throw off the assignments and get a blown coverage somewhere. NC State just needs to be clicking. They need to be talking, communicating well to make sure that everyone's on the same page, because the offense will make you pay for those miscommunications. There's been a couple instances this year where there's been a blown coverage or a missed tackle, but the effort from others or an error by the opposing team has made up for it and covered up for an explosive play. I don't think that's going to happen against Louisville, and that's one of my chief concerns. Is just, the defense has to play its best game of the season this week. And Noah, I guess just what are you looking for defensively from NC State going into this matchup? Any key storylines you're looking for on that side of the ball?
Yeah, it's going to be two things. One, the team like this that's going to take shots down the field, your secondary's got to be, up to par with that. Their corners are capable of playing, elite style. Shaheem Battle did get picked on a lot against Virginia and gave up some big plays, a couple big screens. So maybe they'll see that and see if they can get a speedy guy and do that against him. Aiden White played really well in his first game back after missing the VMI game. He had a pick where he read the play perfectly. So I think that's going to be a strength. And then, you look at the secondary, you look at the safeties. They're a little banged up. They do get Rakeem Ashford back. They are without Devin Boykin most likely. There's a slim chance he can play. If he plays, then I think NC State's feeling really good about that safeties room. If he can get on the field, it doesn't seem likely though, but it's a chance. So I think that's one. And then, when you look at it, when there's a good offense and that likes to stretch the field, those plays take time to develop. And what do you want to do? You want to rush the passer. And they can do that. Red Hibbler, who I wrote about today, is one of the best, on NC State's team at getting to the quarterback. He's played 48 snaps this year and has 3.5 sacks. So he finds ways to get into the backfield, and I think that's going to be big too. So there's got the two biggest, elements right off the top. But they can also run the ball. They average, 200 yards on the ground a game or so. So that's going to be, necessary. But I think NC State's run defense has been proven this year, with a guy like Peyton Wilson. Caden Fordham was big in it, at Virginia. So I think that the running, I don't think concerns me as much as what Louisville can do through the air with a guy like Jack Plummer, who he's shown this offense is basically built for him. And Jeff Brom knew what he could do because he just came from Purdue. Little stop at Cal in between, but, reunited with your head coach, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, going off of the run defense element, I've been pretty impressed over the past couple games. After, Audric Estime absolutely diced up NC State when Notre Dame was in town, but he's one of the best backs in the country. And since then, I think NC State has done a much better job of filling run gaps. Just Dave Doran's been talking a lot about just gap integrity and stuff like that. And I think NC State has really done a good job. You mentioned Caden Fordham. He really stood out in his first start and just really meeting guys at the hole and just playing really well. So, and they're going to have to do that because Louisville running back Jawar Jordan, he is a superstar. He played extremely well against NC State last year. He averaged over 6 yards a carry. And this year he is dominating. He has 478 rushing yards. That's number one in the ACC. 6 rushing touchdowns, another receiving touchdown. Louisville will use him in a variety of ways. And He's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a really good running back. The main key I'm going to be watching out with for him is just you have to bring him down like in the box, because if he gets to the second level, NC State's been able to use just sheer effort to stop a 20-yard gain from turning into a 70-yard gain this season a few times. Jordan's really not going to let that happen. He has elite breakaway speed, elite playmaker, and he's someone to keep an eye on. And he attracts so much attention because of that. So Louisville really likes to use play action. They use it a lot in their offense because Gerard just draws so many eyes to him on any given play. And something I noticed that it's pretty cool that they did against Boston College is they would use him in play action. So it'd be a fake, and then he would leak out for a screen, and then it would turn into a huge gain. So that goes back to the eye discipline, right? You just got to stay latched on to your responsibilities if you're NC State's defense, and don't let this creative offense confuse you, throw you for a loop, or anything like that. And we touched on the passing game. We touched on the how good Plummer is as a quarterback. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Jamari Thrash, his number one option, who's just an elite receiver so far this season, averaging 21.05 yards per reception. That is 2 first downs per catch. And big play guy. They use him in a variety of ways, and he's someone that NC State's really going to have to key on. And we talked about it last week with UVA's really talented receivers. NC State has shut down cornerbacks, right? They have Aiden White, they have Shaheem Battle, these like tall, physical cornerbacks who are skilled in coverage and can shut down their side of the field on some games. They're going to have their hands full. This is a game where, Aiden White, you're a first-team All-ACC guy. You're a guy who's going to be selected in the NFL draft most likely if he chooses to go next year. This is a game where he can establish himself as not only one of the best cornerbacks in the ACC, but one of the best cornerbacks in the country. If he can, go route for route with Thrash and contain him, you're not going to slow him, an elite receiver like him, down completely in today's college football. But if Aiden can match up against him and limit him, that is something that obviously would greatly boost NC State's chances, and it's something they'll need to do. And all right, kind of switching over to the defensive side of the ball. It's a solid unit. Like they allow, I believe it's 19 points per game this season. In addition to their high scoring offense, they're not allowing many points. It's a defense that it's not quite as aggressive as last year's unit that just forced a ridiculous amount of turnovers. But they're actually on pace to meet their turnover mark again. They've intercepted 3 passes, recovered 3 fumbles. So this is still an opportunistic unit that will, take advantage of those chances if NC State gives it to them. So NC State cannot afford to make those mistakes. Noah, from looking at Louisville's defense, just any thoughts or takeaways you have on that side of the ball?
Yeah, one thing I think that, doesn't, you don't look at right away, but this Louisville team is their run defense is pretty solid. They're only giving up 114 yards on the ground a game, which, it's similar to what NC State's giving up. So, I think when you look at, running the ball, NC State's going to probably want to run the ball against them a little bit, just considering Brennan Armstrong kind of had a, up and down day at Virginia. They talked about wanting to establish consistency in the run with their running backs, which they haven't found really yet in the last week. I think that's going to be important. And if they can break off some big runs, then that'll help. But, I think finding consistency there is going to be, a little tough against a team that, gives up 114 a game. So 3.6 an attempt. I mean, that's a pretty tall task to do. When we look at that, but also kind of similar thing, looking at their playmakers for NC State, you look at Julian Gray and Jalen Coit on the return game. It's going to be a tough day on the return game. You're matching up with a team that is only giving up 16 yards a kickoff return and 8 yards punt return. So these are 2 of the most elite, returners in the country right now, and they've got a tall task, against a pretty good, special teams unit at Louisville as well.
Yeah, and it's been 2 games in a row where the game has been changed by a Julian Gray kickoff return. right? So is he going to continue making plays like that? Shoot, it would sure help NC State. That would be a huge boost just with that field position battle. But let's switch gears. Let's talk about NC State's offense. Obviously, last year running game left some to be desired, right? Armstrong led the team in rushing again. He was opportunistic and looked good as a scrambling quarterback at times. Did well kind of controlling the ball and engineering that final drive. But, I mean, you want more out of Michael Allen. You want a little bit more out of Delbert Mims, who has continued to be excellent in short yardage situations. But on, 1st and 10, 2nd and 8, could use a little bit more from the running backs in general. And then you just got to hope that Kendrick Raphael is healthy. Doran told us today he's day-to-day. He had to leave the UVA game with an injury. He's explosive. He's a strong contributor as a freshman, and NC State's backfield needs him so far this season without Jordan Houston now, who is going to redshirt the rest of the year. So, the running game, I'm really not sure where NC State gets going in this game because, like you said, Louisville has a solid run defense. So then it kind of falls on the passing game. And where can NC State identify potential weaknesses in the Louisville defense? I think, the one consistent in this year's offense has been Kevin Concepcion. I mean, he had I think we've made a point not to call it a breakout game, right? Because he was NC State's leading receiver coming in to the UVA game. He's been awesome all year. But against UVA, oh my goodness, he dominated with his 6 receptions, 116 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. I mean, he helped win that game in a major way. So if you go and look at how Louisville lines up on defense, he's probably going to be matched up against safety Benjamin Perry a lot, who spends a lot of time in the slot. And so, we'll see how that goes. Against Boston College, Perry allowed 3 receptions on 4 targets for 38 yards. And, NC State needs KC to get going, continue his hot streak because he has been open pretty much the entire season in the slot. So we got to keep looking out for that. But Noah, is there anywhere else that just any advantages anywhere that you can see NC State generating offensive momentum, just anything that gives you hope for the Wolfpack offense going into this showdown?
Yeah, I think, Dave Dorn's talked about it a little bit. I think, working a tight end into the offense is definitely something that's a priority, for NC State. They just got banged up early in the year. They're both back on the field, led by Trent Penix, back in the practice field. I could imagine NC State, because they haven't shown much of the tight end. In a game like this where you're trying to win a pretty high-level game, you can pull things out that you haven't shown yet. And I think, maybe we'll see a tight end down the seam. Armstrong needs, he's taking advantage of the checkdowns a lot, right? If you can take tight end running down the field, 10 yards down the field and catch it and turn and go, I think that's going to be something that's big, kind of help get him, in the right rhythm, because he didn't really find a rhythm much against Virginia. He did on that 3rd drive where they scored a touchdown. But other than that, it was kind of up and down, up and down. And I know a lot of people weren't, too impressed with what he did. But at the end of the day, I think when a team is 3-1 and their quarterback play has been up and down all year, I think that shows, how well-rounded this team really is. Right? Some teams, if you don't get good quarterback play, the team's not going to play well. And, NC State is still sitting at 3-1, 1-0 in the ACC so far. And so I think, tight end could be one. We also see, maybe Michael Allen just becomes a breakout guy. He ran well against Virginia. And I think that he's the kind of guy that, can average 5 or 6 yards a carry. And I think that, if he can get going there, this would be a really, dangerous offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. And something that, it's worth mentioning in these big primetime games, Carter Finley Stadium can get rocking. The 12th man, like Doran said on Monday, it's real. And in a packed, sold-out Carter Finley Stadium, under the lights, in the blackout jerseys, which are cool if you didn't see the uniform reveal video. And we talked to Anthony Belton about it this week. So apparently the numbers glow in the dark. They have glow-in-the-dark cleats to go with it. So, NC State's going to be looking good. Just got to see if they're going to be playing good as well. And and it's going to be fun. It's going to be the first night game with the new video board, the new sound system. I think that atmosphere really is going to be rocking. And it's if UVA showed NC State this last week, it is hard to win on the road in the ACC. And I think regardless of who wins this game, I think NC State's going to make it difficult for Louisville. So, and I think the home atmosphere will be a significant part of that. All right, we're going to dive into our full predictions. We're going to talk over under. We're going to make some bold picks for who will lead the pack in several statistical categories. But before we do that, I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling marketplace where you can find the tickets for pretty much anything you want, whether it's a concert, football game, baseball game, pretty much anything you're looking for. Game Time app has it, and they've got good deals on it as well. I've got a problem where whenever I want to go to a game or a concert, I make the plans, but then I tend to put off like actually buying the tickets. The good news is the Game Time app, you can buy your tickets literally right up until kickoff via their app or gametime.co. So, and then if you go on that, by far my favorite thing about it, by far, is then when you go on the app and you look at, let's say you want to go to the Louisville NC State game. Right now, the cheapest ticket is $57. Oh, it just updated. Now it's $64. So the price is going up. This is a sold out, packed crowd, but there's still tickets available for resale on Game Time. And the coolest thing about it is when you go on the app and you look, you can see the view from your seat. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up the view of the app here, but you can see exactly the view of the field from where you'd be sitting. It's pretty cool. It's a cool feature. Kind of streamlines that process as far as ticket buying goes. So go check it out. You can find it on the App Store if you just search up Game Time, or you can go to gametime.co. That's .co, not .com. Just want to stress that. But yeah, go check it out. Game Time. All right, Noah, let's make some predictions. I'm gonna get you to go first. This is actually the first time since you've joined the staff that we've disagreed on who's going to win this game. So Noah, break it down for us. Who's winning NC State versus Louisville and why?
Yeah, I think this is Louisville's game, right? A lot of people might not like that. The Cardinals are 4-0. They haven't really played really tough competition. They played Indiana, won that one 24-14. 21-14. I mean, this is their first true road game, but this with a team like with Jack Plummer, Jamari Thrash, players like that who are explosive players. NC State's defense has given up a lot of explosive plays this year, more than they want to. And with a team that operates on explosive plays down the field almost the entire game, that's not a good matchup for NC State's defense at the moment. If they clean it up, then it looks good. If you can cut those down. Of course, every team can give up an explosive play or two at least, right? It's bound to happen. But NC State gave up, I think 5, 6, 7, a lot against Virginia. They got rolling, and I just think that's going to happen. So my game prediction, I think I'm going to change a little bit. I think it's going to be 35-21 Louisville. I just think that their offense is going to be too much to handle for NC State's defense, and in the same token, NC State's offense, from what we saw against Virginia, I don't know if they can play a shootout that gets to 35-35 or 45-35. I don't know if they can get that high scoring right now, unless things got turned around. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and no, I can't disagree with many of the points you made, but I just have a feeling about it. I've been in these big time Carter Finley Stadium games. Just a little bit of a different energy. This has a similar vibe to me as the Wake Forest game last year, where NC State came in with MJ Morris at quarterback, and just completely disrupted Wake Forest offense. Forced 3 Sam Hartman interceptions and ended up winning that game in a really impressive primetime win. So it just has a similar feel to that for me. I think it is Louisville's first true road game, right?
Yep.
And I think that is going to rattle them. I think NC State's going to be able to start strong. The defense will, get a sack or maybe even a turnover early and kind of set the tone. on that side of the ball. Do I think that's all of a sudden NC State's issues stopping explosive plays are going to be fixed? No, I don't. But I think NC State will be able to really, when the field gets shortened and it's in the, inside the 20, inside the 15, and, taking the top off the secondary isn't really an option for that Louisville defense. I think the Wolfpack will be able to settle in and force them to field goals. And that's going to be the difference for me. I think that Louisville is going to score more times than NC State, but the fact that NC State is just holding them to field goals, holding them to 3, and I think that's going to make the difference. NC State finishes this game with touchdowns. Louisville finishes with field goals, and that's going to be the difference. NC State has been efficient in the red zone so far this year. They've been a good red zone offense, and I think you can count on that to continue against the Cardinals, and that's why my final score prediction is going to end up being 31-30. I think the defense is going to come up huge here and maybe give NC State's offense a short field to work with a couple times. And NC State will take advantage of that. I think Armstrong will, I think we'll see a little bit maybe more calm, maybe more consistent version compared to UVA. Maybe closer to like the first half against Notre Dame, let's say. But, NC State, they're going to have to minimize the mistakes. They're going to have to keep those to a minimum. And I think they can do that and, pick up a potentially season-defining win that charts them on a pretty good course for the rest of the year. But we'll see. I'm excited about it. And let's dive into – so we both picked the line. I picked NC – the line right now is 3.5 points in Louisville's favor. So Noah thinks they will cover that. I think NC State will cover that. So –
And a note, NC State hasn't covered a spread all year yet. They're 0-4 against the spread.
Yes. So, for anyone betting out there, that's something to keep in mind. And the over-under, 55.5. That honestly seems a little bit high for me. Obviously, I think they're going to clear it by a decent amount. But that is a fairly high line. But I think it complements that Louisville offense, right? They're scoring more than 40 points a game this season. So it's going to be something to watch. But let's go through it. Let's predict. Let's start off with the rushers. Noah, who's going to lead NC State in rushing against Louisville?
Brennan Armstrong. I'll take the easy one there. He's led the team in rushing all year. Right now, I can tell you exactly what he's leading them. He's taken off 52 times, which the next closest running back is Delbert Mims at 27 attempts. And Armstrong has 225 yards, 3 touchdowns along with 14. So I say that he's gonna do it. One, he's their most consistent rusher, and 2, if the play breaks down, it's a safe bet he's gonna go. He's not a Lamar Jackson type. He's gonna change game. Obviously, great topic with Louisville coming to town, but I think that he's gonna lead the team in rushing. He probably gets close to 100 yards, especially if NC State wins like you think. He's gonna have to, I think, clear 100 yards rushing to make that happen. So, give me BA to lead the team in rushing.
And something that popped up I was going back and watching the condensed version of Louisville's game against Boston College. BC had some success, like running a little bit of read option, getting Louisville to overcommit to one side, create a hole, and then their quarterback took off. And Armstrong's more than capable of doing that. So maybe we see a little bit of that. I think it is going to be pretty difficult to establish a rhythm with the running backs. So I'm sticking with you. I think it's going to be BA leading the team in rushing again. He's just been the most reliable guy right now carrying the football. Kind of like I'm waiting for it to happen. I am waiting for Michael Allen to break one of these big runs because he is explosive. He is an extremely explosive running back. And there's been a couple times this year where it's like, one or two tackles away, guys away from really, really breaking a big play. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm it's less about the matchup, more just about how NC State has played so far this year. I just have a feeling he's going to break a long rush, create a big explosive play at some point. Maybe even it's in the receiving game and not rushing the ball. But Michael Allen's due for a big play, and I think we'll see one at some point. All right, let's go receiver. Casey is by far the Wolfpack's leading receiver this year with 22 receptions. I believe Porter Rooks is second with 9 on the team right now. So, Noah, you going in a bold direction here, or you sticking with the guy who's been leading the pack all season?
No, I'm going to go bold here. I went the safe pick with the running back. We're going to go bold with rushing. I'm going to go bold with receiving. We're going to say Julian Gray's made a lot of plays on special teams for this team this year. He has made big plays in offense. He's a 64-yard, reception earlier this year. I think he breaks off another big, explosive play, leads the team in receiving. But I do think KC finds the end zone again. He's going to get in that rhythm of scoring touchdowns for this team. But, Julian Gray, at the end of the day, I think will have the most amount of yards, and it's going to come off, probably 2 big explosive plays. He's going to be a guy to do it.
Awesome. I'm sticking with KC. It's just I think it's going to be the correct pick just because he has been so consistent and so good this season. I mean, he made one mistake against Notre Dame and rebounded pretty much instantly, and he's been that guy. He's on pace for a freshman All-American season. And he was the On3 National Freshman of the Week last week, or True Freshman of the Week, I should say. And I just love what he's doing out of the slot right now. His route running right now is so great. And kind of in a similar vein to the Michael Allen prediction I made, I wanted to shout out Terrell Timmons. I really like what I've seen from him this season. The numbers just kind of haven't correlated quite yet. He had just a beautiful route against UVA. Like it made me gasp when he hit this route. It was just
you
awesome.
did audibly gasp.
So just really good player. I think he's a little bit underrated in NC State's receiver room, and I think him and Armstrong will connect a little more as the season goes on, as they continue to build up chemistry as well. All right, last but certainly not least, who's going to be NC State's leading tackler? It's probably going to be a game where lots of players on defense are going to be asked to do a lot. So, but who's going to end up at the top of that of the tackle category this week?
Yeah, when you look at it right now on paper, their leading tackle overall is Peyton Wilson at 46 tackles on the year. I'm going to take him, and here's the reasoning. One, he just finds the ball, especially in the run game, and can make tackles. But 2, we talked about it, earlier today. I think there's a chance, and that he could get dropped off in the coverage more to kind of protect the middle of the field, because Jack Plummer lives in the middle of the field. Of his 1,100 passing yards, over 800 have come in between the numbers. I think Peyton Wilson could be kind of that, turn him into a hybrid safety for the day and let him kind of patrol the middle of the field and have that, 4th safety on the field, if you want to call it. And I think he'll lead the team in tackles and he's going to play a pretty big role in the pass game, I think, in the pass defense. He has a pass breakup earlier this year, which broke up, a big time, game that was going to come. He just read at the line of scrimmage, jumped up there and knocked it away. So give me, Peyton Wilson, the obvious choice, but I think, it's the right one.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been at a different level this season. He's been so good. And you mentioned in coverage, and of course, he also had the game-winning interception against UConn. So he can hold his own in pass coverage as well. I'm going with Sean Brown. My favorite player to watch on the team last season was Tanner Engel because of how he defended the run. Out of the safety spot, he would just come up and just absolutely just blow up a play. And I thought that was so cool. I thought it was really fun to watch Tanner Engel play. He's, of course, in the NFL now. And the guy who stepped up in that kind of run defense secondary role is Sean Brown. He's taken on that starting responsibility after Jakeem Harris's season-ending injury. And especially against UVA, he had some huge stops, including one on a 1st and goal after a huge explosive play that it didn't flip momentum, but it definitely slowed them down, literally and figuratively, for that drive. So I really like what I've been seeing out of him run defense wise. I think pass coverage, he's still continuing to develop and come along there. But in terms of just coming up and stuffing the run, and I think there's going to be a lot of those, short to intermediate passes by Plummer that Brown's going to be asked to make a few tackles. And I think he's going to lead the team in tackles because of that. And Noah, this is a new category, and you didn't know we were doing this, so I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Pick one breakout player, somebody who, maybe the production has been somewhat limited so far this season, or just someone you have a vibe that this is going to be the game that NC State fans are like, holy crap, we have a player in blank.
I alluded to it earlier. If I think tight ends are going to get involved, that means Juice Vereen, being a hybrid tight end receiver, I think he gets involved. Of course, he had a pretty big game earlier this year, but he hasn't done much in the last couple of weeks. He had a drop against VMI that was going to be a touchdown. Then he just basically didn't see the field after that. He played a little bit this past week at Virginia. I think if they're going to get tight ends involved, he's a big body that's, really good true freshman. And I think he can, really, get this team going. When you look at that as a whole, and it kind of gives, Brennan Armstrong another target on the year. Juice has 4 catches for 65 yards. So he can catch the ball. He's averaging 16 yards reception. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. And I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. I don't know if it fully counts as a breakout guy, and you can tell me if he doesn't. But Bishop Fitzgerald, I thought he's starting to take a lot of really, really positive strides. But I'm going to go ahead and make the bold prediction here. I think he's going to have a pick 6 on Friday. I think he
heard it here first
in interceptions during camp, and he showed off this season that he's improving as a tackler. He tipped the ball that turned into an interception during against UVA, and I think his biggest strength is this man can go get the ball. And I believe he had 2 pick 6s last season at the JUCO level. So, hey, when he gets the ball, he has the speed to take off. And I'm going to go ahead and predict it. It's going to happen. Plummer's going to try him deep. And then, we've seen it already on Robert Kennedy's pick 6. This defense is more than happy to, create a wall and block for their teammates and create a potential game-changing play that way. So go ahead and pencil it in. I'll make up for the fact that he's already a pretty established player with the fact that I do think he's going to score a touchdown, a defensive touchdown against the Cardinals on Friday. And all right, that's our show. Thank you all for watching or listening. Just as a reminder, if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, you can watch us on video on our YouTube channel. It's just the Wolfpacker on YouTube. And on all podcast platforms, if you're watching us on YouTube, it's just the Wolfpacker Show. You should be able to find us pretty easily through there. Please subscribe to thewolfpacker.com. It's $1. Nolan and I work really hard to bring you guys the best Wolfpack coverage in the network, and just we'd really appreciate it if you join the website. Come join what is a growing and fun community on our message boards. Celebrate the wins, talk through the losses. We'll be there for both. And of course, that's also where we post the latest team and recruiting info as well. So go check it out, thewolfpacker.com. It's only $1 to join, in my extremely biased opinion, a great website. All right. Thanks again for watching, everybody. And we'll talk to you shortly after the game concludes this weekend.